it took 2,000 years of intellectual development to achieve a level of rigor where one can state, yes, the issue is not belief, it's not provisional, it's not a matter of an approximation to an answer or a guess or a hypothesis. What matters decisively is what can be rigorously and incontestably established. And there aren't a lot of things that can, but those things, or if you want to speak metaphorically, are the things that constitute the character of God, the essence of God, those things, not the things that have to do with belief. So if it's a matter of belief, you're going in the wrong direction. And in fact, beliefs only exist to answer other beliefs that you're not even necessarily aware of, that are kind of like floating around and are themselves not fully justifiable. So it's almost as if you kind of first clear out everything that's provisional, everything that can't be maintained like with rigor, and you substitute for it what can be rigorously established, which is what philosophy tries to do, and you suddenly find yourself with answers to all these problems. But it's a radical result. It's a higher level of rigor than science, because it turns out that science is approximation. It turns out that, in fact, to give you a technical account of it, this creates two logics. It creates a logic of what are called epistemic spaces. These are my work. This is my work. An epistemic space is that in which each point is distinguishable from every other point. Okay? That is an existential space, a space in which we live. Then there is a heuristic space. A heuristic space is one that has internal symmetries. Internal symmetries are the basis for the normal conceptualizations, that we sort of like throw out there or stipulate out the world. Science operates within heuristic spaces. And so it's achieving approximations to results that gloss over certain distinctions. The glossing over those distinctions had been a powerful intermediary result up to this point in human history, where this kind of higher level of precision is possible. So are these results like at a level of power that hasn't been seen before? Yes. Is this kind of like a revolutionary sort of like philosophical advance? Is it like kind of a category jump? Yes. It is that kind of significant change. But it's the kind of significant change that was possible for somebody like myself who was doing philosophy at a very young age. And so by the time I studied philosophy at Harvard, by the time I entered Harvard, I'd read through all of Western philosophy. So it was intuitive at a young age. It's kind of like you can't do philosophy or anything significantly. You can't compete with Tiger Woods if you start golfing when you're 20. He started 3, he became Tiger Woods. It's like Mozart. You can't compete with Mozart if you start composing when you're 20. You can't do philosophy if you're introduced to the subject in college at 20. Everybody in this country tends to be introduced to philosophy, if at all, at 20. That's why our best physicists, people like Richard Feynman, look at Einstein's work and wonder where is he getting some of the germinal ideas of general theory of relativity. Well, he's getting those ideas from late 19th century German radical empiricism. It's kind of an obvious, sort of almost simplified philosophical sort of result that Einstein was intuitively aware of because he grew up in a philosophical culture. Einstein is like a physicist, 90%, who, leavened with 10% of philosophical acumen, is able to raise physics to a higher level. There's a literary agent, a famous literary agent in New York that I was meeting with a while back, Mort Janklow. He actually does. He represents like a Nobel Prize winner, like Stephen Weinberg. He represents the Pope. He represents a president. Like if you're Ronald Reagan, he represented him. Those kind of people. So he was interested in my work, and we had like an 80-minute conversation, which apparently was the longest he'd ever had with somebody. And at one point he asked me like, where am I getting all these results from? And I said, I'm getting them from philosophy. And I'm using the philosophy like at a high level of generality, and then applying it in whatever direction seems appropriate. I can solve problems at will from this high level of generality.